Hello everyone and welcome to the next video. In this video, what we're going to be going over is max rent and mortgage. This is by far the most important part of the entire process. Now, mind you, we wouldn't be able to get to this point if we didn't do all the steps prior, but all of those steps that we were just doing was leading to this exact moment. So this is the calculation that kind of ties everything together and lets us know the most important and useful information out of everything that we're going to be pulling. And this is going to be useful whether you have a rental arbitrage model, a short-term management model, or if you're a real estate investor in the short-term rental market, okay? So it works for all these different areas. Now, the purpose of the max rent slash mortgage calculator is to know the exact amount that we can spend on rent or mortgage and still make our desired profit, okay? So how much money from what we're going to make can we give to the landlord or pay in mortgage and still make our desired profit? So with that being said, we have to figure out what's our desired profit. How much do you actually want to make, right? And so that's the last piece of information that we have to figure out, right? And for myself, I want to make $20,000 of profit per home. That's my goal. And so therefore my desired profit is going to be $20,000. And that's what I'm going to use within my calculation is that $20,000 as my desired profit. Okay. And I want to make sure I'm drilling this in. You need to figure out what your desired profit is going to be. Maybe it's you just want to make about 5,000 or 10,000. Maybe that's all that you really can make from your area, right? But maybe you can make 30 or 40,000, right? And that's, like you're not going to do this unless you're making $40,000 profit. Well, then go, make that your desired profit and see if your location is capable of actually doing that. For myself, I'm comfortable with the $20,000, and that's where I like to. That's the amount that I like to find. Okay, and so now I have this last piece that's going to be used within our formula and our calculation, and that's $20,000. All right. So at this point, we now know the average annual revenue. So we know the average annual revenue for every single location and the individual unit size of all those locations. We've figured that out. We've put together. If you haven't, go back and do that. Okay. We know our annual expenses. We know exactly what we can expect to spend on the certain size home that we're looking at. Now, mind you, if you don't know the exact size home that you're going to go for, you want to kind of figure out, what is it for like the largest home? Let's say a 4-bedroom, and then kind of figure out what it is for a 1-bedroom, and then you can estimate what it'll be in between there for a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, because it's generally not going to change all of that much, right? So now you know your average annual revenue, we know the annual expenses, and now we know our desired profit. And if you do not know your desired profit, pause the video right now and take a second to think about it. Think, what do I actually want to make? How much do I want to make? What is my time and effort worth to be able to make on a home by home basis? And so now that you know that number, that's going to be a part of our formula, okay? The desired profit that is needed for the max rent slash mortgage. Therefore, the formula, and let me just move myself here. The formula is average annual revenue. Okay, so the amount that we can make for the location minus our expenses, right? Because we want to minus that, but we also want to minus our desired profits. We're going to take that amount out of the revenue and say we want to make sure that we're going to make that. Okay, and the amount of that's left over is going to be what's going to be used for rent or the mortgage. Okay, so let me walk you through that. I know this is a confusing way of presenting it, so let me put it this way, right? So we already know that if you've been following along, 77,000 is going to be our average annual revenue. Okay, so that's for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in near north side of Chicago. The average is going to be about 77,000 that we can make. The next thing is going to be our annual expenses, right? We want to minus the expenses from the profits so we can go and figure out how much is left over, right? So our annual expenses, without including the rent, is 17,000. If you were watching the previous videos, you saw that a 4-bedroom came out to be about 22,000. I redid the calculations for a 2-bedroom and it roughly came out to about 17,000. Okay, so we're at 17,000. Now what we want to do is we want to minus our desired profit. Right? So we want to minus that amount as well from the total revenue because we want to consider it as something that we're going to be getting no matter what. Okay. Now that we've minused the expenses and the annual profit, what's left over is the annual rent slash mortgage that we can spend towards rent slash mortgage. So it's the money that's left over from the all the expenses that are going to be paid out, all the money that we want to keep ourselves, and the amount that's left is the amount that we can now allocate towards rent or towards a mortgage payment. So paying a landlord or paying a bank. That's how much we can do that, how much we can spend. So in this little pretty scenario here, we have $40,000 that we can spend towards rent or mortgage. Okay. So in summary, the annual rent slash mortgage number is the max that you can spend on rent slash mortgage annually for the unit that you have just calculated and still make your desired profit. That's the whole point here, guys. We want to make sure that you're actually making money. That's the point of this calculation. That's the point of pulling in all this data. That's the point of knowing your expenses, is because we want to make sure that when you get one of these Airbnb homes, you still are going to be making money. You're going to be making a certain amount of profit. And so you always want to know what that profit is before you figure out how much you can give away to a landlord or to a bank. You got to know what that profit amount is. And that's why we're doing the calculation in this way. Okay. So in this example, like I just said, $40,000 is going to be used towards rent, and I'm still going to be able to make my $20,000 profit. Now, a pro tip is to divide that annual number, so the 40,000 in this case, by 12. The reason being is because when you're going to go and look for a home to rent, most of them are going to be advertised as monthly rentals, right? So they're not going to say, this is how much you pay me annually. It's going to say, this is how much you pay me monthly. And so it's going to give you a nice number that you can use. If you're in Australia, then it's going to say weekly. So divided by 52 instead of 12, okay? And what we see here in this example is the 40,000 then works out to be $3,333. And I can spend $3,333 monthly towards a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit in near Northside Chicago and still make $20,000 of profit. Okay, that's exactly what this is telling me. Now, what I want you to do, the next step, is I want you to use this formula for all of the locations and unit sizes that you have the average annual revenue for. So all that data that you now extracted, okay, and then the averages that you added up. So now you know the average annual revenue. You now know your expenses, and you've done it for the largest and the smallest, and you kind of have an idea for the in-between. And you now know your desired profit. So now you have all these pieces, and what you're going to do is you're going to go to the average annual formulas average annual revenue that you've used, and you're going to add the rest of this formula to it to find out how much rent you can allocate and still make your profit. And then what this is going to do, it's going to allow you to know all of the different areas where there's going to be enough revenue made that you can make your profit and pay the rent. Okay, instead of just paying the rent, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you put all your time and effort into something that's not going to make you any profit, right? So what I want you to do now is go and use this formula for all the different locations. And another pro tip I want before you actually go is you'll be able to see very easily that some locations are just not profitable, right? So you're going to see maybe a 1-bedroom in a certain part of the city, and it makes $20,000 of revenue, and you already know that your annual expenses for a 1-bedroom is going to be $15,000, and that doesn't include your profit, and that doesn't include your rent. So you know that if the amount that place will make is $20,000 and your expenses are going to be $15,000, you know that additional $5,000 that's left is not going to be enough to cover profit and rent. So just ignore it and don't put the calculation in for that. The best way to go about this is just start with the big ones. So go to the area, so pick an entire section of the city that seems to be the best, has the highest average annual revenue numbers, and do the calculation for all of those, right? And then once you finish that, go to the next place that seems to be the next highest and try it out for there, right? And then continue to go through and add in this number. And what's going to happen is you're going to find the max rent that you can spend on a monthly basis for every single area and unit size within all of these places that look good, look profitable, look like they could do well, right? And that's not where we're going to end off, because just seeing a pretty number like 3,333 isn't enough, right? You got to see if there are even homes that are going to be available at that dollar amount, right? However, we're not going to get to that just yet. This is the first part of the max rent slash mortgage. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and walk through this with you on my own spreadsheet and show you how I'm doing it, so you can see exactly how I'm plugging this in, and then you can plug it in yourself and you'll be able to see it as well. Okay. So for now, this is helpful, right? I want to give you an overview so you know what you're getting into. I'm sure this may have been a little bit confusing. I hope it wasn't too confusing. In the next video, I hope it'll clear it up even more so when you actually see it being used yourself, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So once again, I hope this is helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.